Christian Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Rebecca Sue, a sister's reflections on disability, faith, and love, by Kathleen Norris. Narrated by Laural Merlington. Note to the reader. Throughout this book, Becky's letters are presented as she wrote them, with no corrections made. She used the language of her times regarding developmental and ability differences. Although many of those terms have been rightly set aside, they are the words Becky used, and I retained them. Becky's questions. Children who suffer from perinatal brain injury often deal with the dramatic consequences of this misfortune for the rest of their lives. Despite the severe clinical and socio-economic significance, no effective clinical strategies have yet been developed to counteract this condition. Words such as handicapped, disabled, or differently abled are treacherous, as they allow us to label people in ways that ignore the full humanity of the person we're attempting to describe. We so often diminish people who don't fit the norm. When we see someone in a wheelchair, we're more likely to address the person tending them instead of the person sitting in the chair. My sister Rebecca had perinatal hypoxia, but I knew and loved her as my little sister long before I heard that term applied to her. As Becky became a toddler, our parents noted that her development was not like that of my older brother and me. But that mattered less to all of us than the fact that we enjoyed the company of a lively little person who, in an atmosphere of familial love and support, was developing a strong personality. It is my intent in this book to present Rebecca Sue as a person in full. I'll begin by having her speak for herself. In going through my parents' correspondence after their deaths, I found that they had saved the list of questions Becky sent them when she was a teenager enrolled in a special education program at a public high school in California in the late 1960s. Will I always be slow? How did it happen? What will happen to me if you, Dad and Mom, get sick? I'm trying to learn how to accept being slow. What can I do to be good enough to develop skills and get real good at something? What are academic subjects? I'm afraid to go into crowds among strangers where I might say the wrong thing or do something dumb. How can a person look smarter? Wouldn't it be great if they invent a pill someday to help people like me get smarter? It's important to be the right kind of person. It's more important to be dependable and kind than to be smart. What does being dependent mean? How do you know when you're in love? I'm cheating on my math. Are others in my family slow in anything? Why did it have to be me? Why didn't you and Mommy do something about me earlier? These questions strike me as a perfect expression of who Becky was. Her brain was damaged at birth, but she was intelligent enough to know what had happened to her. Hearing words like slow and dependent applied to her and wondering what they meant. A lifelong obsession with romantic love and the search for a long-term relationship. And always that nagging, why did it have to be me? That sometimes led her to resent me and her other siblings. We were a church-going family, with my mother raised a Presbyterian and my father descended from a long line of Methodist pastors. We didn't talk much about religion, but it was an essential part of our lives. To a large extent, because Dad was a choir director, hymns were the music of our lives. I grew up believing in the adage that when you sing, you're praying twice. In extended visits to our grandparents when I was a child, I became aware that our grandmothers provided two distinct ways of expressing the Christian faith. On our father's side, Beatrice Norris, who had met her husband at a revival meeting, felt compelled to ask us.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?